Another technique you can use that we're going to be doing on another ghillie suit is putting a hood. And what you're going to do with a hood is take the collar of your flight suit or the shirt that you're using for your ghillie suit, and you're going to sew directly along the collar a hood from a jacket, or you could even sew net that's attached to a hat on here. And this is kind of nice because it's a one-piece deal. You don't have to worry about leaving your hat behind. It's already attached to the suit. But all you're going to do is sew it on, reinforce the stitching with shoe goo, and then you've got your hood on. And again, you camouflage that the same way that you have the rest of your suit. If we look around here, what we've been doing so far, you can see suits in various stages of preparation. We'll start with this one. This one's the least finished so far. We've got our flight suit. We checked to make sure we had no large rips or tear that needed to be repaired prior to us starting. Then what we did, we laid the suit out on its front, extended the arms and the back section out. We then took some net from an old Army camouflage net, and we laid it out along the back and cut it out. The next thing we did is we took shoe goo, which we discussed about earlier, and we went all along the perimeter, along where these knots are, and glued it onto the fabric itself.
What I'm doing is removing the radar reflecting clips off of this camouflage net because they're silver, as I said earlier. Give your position away if the sun hits you just right.
Once we were done with that, we picked up the net and found out where the saggy portions were and shoe gooed it to reinforce it so it wouldn't bulge out as much, because if you just glue the perimeter on and you don't glue anything or sew anything in the center, you get a very saggy appearance and your camouflage will all droop around your waist, or it could possibly just tear right off the back of your suit. So you want to reinforce it along the middle, and you don't want more than about 1 inch to 2 inches of give in any one section of the net. So you go ahead and glue it and check your different sections around to make sure you don't have too much give or play in any of the netting material.
Knots in them. So you tie it tight. And then what I do is once I have all my knots tied onto my netting, I take the shoe goo and I apply a little dab to the knot.
Once you're done with that, then you concentrate on the front side. And you can see right now, we've already done one knee patch on this flight suit. And over here, you can see another fella. At this time, he's going ahead and shoe gooing his knee patch on. Again, all he did was put an S or an X-shaped pattern of glue on the reverse side of the fabric, and then once he gets done, he presses that down firmly on the fabric. Wants to hold it for a couple minutes. Shoe goo sets relatively fast. It's got the same consistency of rubber cement. Fairly easy to work with. Okay, one of the other things we'd like to point out is here you see on this flight suit we have canvas. What Ron's using here is a rubberized fabric, okay? The big thing with any of the fabrics that you're going to use for reinforcement, one, it has to be a very robust or durable type fabric. It has to be very thick and sturdy. And the other thing, you want to have some type of earthy color again, your olive drab greens, browns, anything that wouldn't really stand out in nature. And the other thing, like you can see here, it's got a little bit of a glossy appearance to it, but it'll still work because we're going to spray paint over it. And the nice thing about this fabric that he's using is that it's waterproof. So it'll probably have a little bit of longer lifespan than our canvas would. So again, it's a matter of personal preference or the materials that you actually have available at hand. Don't get too wrapped around the axle saying, well, I have to have this. You're going to use what you have available in your local area. And the big thing, just remember, basic rules, it has to be thick, durable cloth, and it has to be earthy toned colored materials. You want to be careful so you don't cut the flight suit itself. So keep lifting the canvas up away from the flight suit as you cut. Okay, as you can see now, we have a nice piece of canvas that goes from seam to seam, and all we're going to do is simply shoe glue this. Now, the important thing, you might have to fine tune a little bit, but as I mentioned earlier before, better to cut it too large than too small, okay? So we're just going to fine tune here a little bit, totally flatten the fabric out, make sure that we're from seam to seam. Okay, now that I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and flip my fabric over, make sure it's nice and clean, and the material I'm going to be adhering it to is also relatively clean and dry, but won't have too much of an impact here. It's just a little bit damp. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take our shoe glue, and basically we're just going to make a big S pattern along here, and then firmly press it down on here, and then we're going to go along the edges so the material doesn't fray too much on you, and plus it gives it a double gluing, so it makes it stay on a little better. And just like toothpaste, you want to start at the base of the tube and work your way towards the top. You can see how thick the shoe glue is here. Very much like rubber cement, but even thicker. And if you have to help it out with your finger a little bit, no problem. Once he's done with that, he's going to reinforce along the edges like we have right here with more shoe glue. Again, the spray paint that we used on the other suit is going to cover up a lot of that glossy or shiny appearance.
These are my knee pads from my waist down just to the zipper that'll go above my boots, and then my chest pads. My chest patches, and I've cut them rounded corners because these will be on the ground quite a bit, and I don't, even though it's going to be glued down to the flight suit, I don't want there to be any corners that could catch and tear the patch off. So all my patches from the waist up are rounded, like my elbow patches up there. When applying your pads, it's important to remember that when you put on your elbow pads on your ghillie suit, it's not like wearing a sports jacket. You're going to be using your elbows to crawl along and to rest on. So you have the proper positioning of your elbow pads. If you look, it's not like it would be on a normal jacket. It's almost underneath the bend of the elbow, which still provides me the material to crawl along with and to protect my elbow. Or the chest patches provide room for me to bend at the waist here without too much difficulty, and for the zipper that goes up and down. As you can see, the pockets are going to be useless, so they're just emptied and zipped and flattened out so that when the patches are applied, they're no problem. There's no need to cut out the zippers or anything like that. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're using the glue or the shoe glue or any of the other products to apply the patches to your ghillie suit, is make sure you have a well ventilated area. You can see here we have all the open windows, and once your suit is drying, put it in a well ventilated area. At this point you can go ahead and just lay it on outside. It should be fine. Try and keep it out of the rain, and let the shoe glue dry or the glue dry before you continue on from one step to another.
Another important thing that we found out, much to our chagrin there, was the tackiness of the glue. It sticks on your fingers, and it's kind of like having a real thick coat of rubber cement. You kind of have to roll it or scrape it off your fingers. A nice technique you can use is to have a set of surgical gloves, or you can use a tongue depressor or popsicle stick to help you put the stuff on.